All right. So some things have changed in the last couple weeks here. So I wanted to take a deeper look at it, see what's been moving and see what's interesting. I haven't dug into AMD and Microsoft deeply yet, so I don't even know what I'm looking at. But I'll I'll take a deep look here and see what what we're dealing with, and we'll look at some of the other ones and figure out what's going on with those. So first off, AMD is still below our number here, so it's still buyable. And if we go to the weekly chart, we've had a couple of good weeks since where earnings is here. We've had 1, 2, 3 good weeks of Friday buying. So this I expect to continue to go on. A couple more Fridays here to buy. We're in a good buy area here in the deeper green instead of the upper red. So that's a good sign. Down here, we could expect to come all the way down to maybe like 128, roughly. But either way, it's still offering really nice weekly Friday buying to just move something from paychecks into AMD. So this is nice that it's continuing to go on. If we take a look at the Bollinger Bands here, they seem to be rolling over and coming together now. So if I just do like a kind of like a pretend thing here where this is going to keep coming down and this is going to keep coming over, I'd expect these to come together sometime around 11/25 as a date, which is today is the 16th, so that's 10 days, 9 days. So like next week, the week after that, at some point, this will start coming together and start showing us a when type of look, where this will come here, the red will come down, the blue will start coming over, and the price will start to stabilize and come back up to meet back up in this area. And if we just guessed at the price, it'll be like 154-ish. So we'll be looking at a $20 move upwards from 134.90 to 154-ish. Plus however much it travels down here and rolls back up. So all of this movement will carry us right back up. This also, I knew I just threw this in here like that, not super critical on where it's going to come together, because I'm just kind of speculating it out, to next week or the week after that. However, this alignment here where it's going to roll back over does align nicely with this gap here. So if we're expecting this to roll down and come back up over the next week, 2 week, and then it finally says, okay, I'm ready, that'll be, on the third week or the fourth week, we'll start coming up, and then the alignment comes out really nicely here with the gap fill all the way up to about 160, 158, 159. So this is all looking good. It's all looking nice. There have been 3 weeks of Fridays to get into it. There may be 3 more weeks of Fridays to carry the whole move down. Our dollar cost averaging will get us some nice price ranges in here to get fully engaged with where it's at in here. And then maybe 3 weeks in, 3 weeks rolling, and then another like 3 weeks to come back up gives us a total of 9 weeks. I had estimated a full 12 weeks all the way out until January next earnings, but maybe this carries us into like Christmas or something. Somewhere out in here at the New Year start or something like that. But again, that's really just speculation. But I'm liking the way this looks. I'm liking the way it's coming together, and this is going to line up with the gap fill to carry us back up into the 160, just a nice round even number from 135 to 160. So it's all looking nice. It's all looking good. We can go on a tighter time frame and we get out of the drawing here and put on the this one. So it does look like RSI is oversold. It gained a bit of strength, only to give it some relief, to give it some access to moving lower, and so it has now moved lower. And so I would expect like next week a minor bounce, but based on how I looked at the 1 year 1 day chart, I'm not actually expecting a real fully fleshed out bounce that's going to roll up. I'm just expecting like minor relief bounces, a minor relief bounce, and then something that comes back downward. Uh, if we look at the RSI here, it was oversold here, and then it needed to relieve some of that pressure from being oversold, and so then it came up here so that it could be oversold some more, and then it came up so that it can be oversold some more. So this is obviously showing some weakness to it. We can also see the overbought here and the overbought here, where if we look at what that meant as far as price, it was 164, but oversold here was 175ish. So it's losing strength, and it's gaining weakness is what that amounts to. So just something to look for over the next couple of weeks is when this starts to really display some strength, where oversold is amounting to more than it did the last time. Or like say we come back up, and when it gets to an overbought state, if the overbought state is something like 151 or higher, then I would say it's gaining some relative strength and is starting to build into a buying atmosphere instead of a selling atmosphere. So that's just a reflection of the RSI weakness here, where being extremely weak used to be here, and then being extremely weak was here, and then being extremely weak was here. That we want to see the opposite start to occur, where being really strong means more than being stronger than we were the last time we were strong. So if we were strong here and now we're only strong here, and then that same amount of strength only gets us to here, we want to start that change where it rolls up, and the oversold starts to occur above where it used to be, and strength used to be here. We want that to be higher. But I don't see that happening until at least 2 weeks from now, when this starts to display that it's ready to come up, when these start come together. So that's a couple weeks out, but that's kind of how I view it. Is that we're just kind of meandering downwards here. So that's my look at AMD so far, and then we can look at Microsoft. And Microsoft again is also looking good. Something we started buying a couple of weeks ago on Fridays. So we're down here, we're down below, and we want to kind of check out what what strengths and weaknesses it has, and if anything seems to be showing up on the charts. And nothing's really showing up yet. We're not really gaining any change in direction, or any like influence or anything that I can see happening out into the future. So we're just kind of following this right now, where up, down, up, down, up, down. And so right now we're down, and we can just buy this. But the expectation would be that if we're going to be down here, we're going to want to sell up here. So sometime in the future, it should start to come up, and then if we can get some kind of good push upwards, we can sell everything that we had bought on Fridays here. So AMD's looking good, and then Microsoft, we're just kind of following this same trend here. It is progressively traveling upwards, so there is still value being gained week to week, because the entirety of the chart is traveling upwards. So that's just a good sign for being able to buy low and know that in the future it's going to have more value than where we had bought it. There's not really much to look at here as far as the RSI is concerned, and this is basically just telling us that we're zeroed out everywhere, and we're zeroed out, and we're just traveling right through this channel. We can look on a smaller time frame to see if anything else is popping up for us. We still have this up here, it appears. This remnant pricing up here, we still need to pay off, and so that still exists traveling out into the future as it continues to gain price value. It'll want to pay this off sometime in the future. So that's something to look for, is to go from 415 up to 445, 450-ish type area. Oh, what do we have for like relative strength? If we just ignore this and say that this is the start of something new, then weakness begins here, and what used to be weak here is now weak here, and weak here, and weak here. And if this used to be right in this area, the 400 type price area was what used to be considered weak, and now what it took to accomplish the same amount of weakness exists at about 410, and exists at about 410 is where relative weakness exists at this time. There is a difference here on this where it used to be 415 and then just slightly later it was 408, and now we're existing right then again at that 408 area. So as this develops out, we'll be able to tell what where its strength and where its weakness exists. Here it used to be strong at like 440, and now it's strong at 425. So that is obviously much lower, and so there is an existence of weakness still in Microsoft that we should get several more Fridays of good pricing before it starts to push. I mean, at the minimum, there's nothing really the way that it was on AMD. There's nothing showing yet that says like a when would I expect things to happen. And so for now, it's just that we have good prices on Microsoft, and those prices should continue for however long out into the future. Nothing's showing up yet that's telling me when we can expect it to start curving upwards. So for now, it's just to continue to buy on Friday for an undetermined amount of time, but that the prices are still good for us, being down here on the lower areas. So I do still like Microsoft for buying on Fridays. I just don't know at this point exactly when yet, where AMD is really starting to show us kind of an exactly when type of thing. But if we just looked at this area and disregarded the front portion, right here is basically where we are on Microsoft yet, where we are in good pricing areas and we're just going to keep buying, but we don't know yet exactly how far we're going to buy. And now AMD showed us when. Microsoft hasn't shown us yet when it's going to want to start climbing back upwards. So that's AMD and Microsoft, and then we can just quickly scan through these and see if anything is worth looking at. Apple's not quite yet worth looking at. We're going to want to be down here somewhere. So regardless of what Apple's doing, nothing about it is terribly interesting for me. Amazon is also still high. There's been a lot of news and a lot of like YouTube talks about how the market's coming down, but I mean, this is kind of a given in my opinion that the market should come down because it's so high, and this amount of down is a lot from 215 down to 200. On the chart, it is quite a bit, but I mean, I believe I was expecting 200. Back here anyway. What is this? Yeah. So this is a 200 look here for like a when type of scenario where the market is climbing super high. Then it starts to show that it wants to come down to 200 anyway. So this was kind of expected for me. It didn't just show up one day and say, oh no, the market's crashing. I've expected this, so it's fine. And when I look at it on a larger time frame, it's still not down enough for me to be interested. There does seem to be something coming up here. So like if I just play pretend and say that this is going to come up like this and this is going to come across, then I could roughly throw out a number like 193. Yeah, 193 by 1122. So at some point next week we'll probably see something in the 190s, which is another $10 off of Amazon. But for now, it's something that I'll just keep an eye on, but that it's not terribly interesting yet. Once we break down beyond, what is this number, 198? Once we break down below 198, maybe I'll start paying attention and see how far we're going to get down here, and then what it wants to show me as far as going forward. But for now, it does have a large drop, and so that could lead us into this kind of look here out at 1122-ish at 193, which then could become something interesting. I think Meta was down. Yeah, so Facebook is down as well. And again, this isn't something unexpected. It told us there was a when coming, and that was back 3 weeks ago, 1022. It kind of told us that there wants to be some pricing down in here, and we already had some here, but now it's like fully paying it off. So I think Facebook might be entering an area where we want to become interested. It's basically already in an area where we want to be interested, and I think I was looking previously at like 540, I believe was the number. It took so long for it to happen. This is like a 1 month period from here to here that I've now forgotten the number, but I think it was like 540. Yeah, yeah, all the way down into here for this old price action that needed to be cleaned up goes all the way out to like 540, 535. So we could begin buying Facebook if that is interesting. We could start buying Facebook on Fridays as well, just to become diversified into Microsoft, Facebook, and AMD. That way, if something decides to move, we start getting paid instead of just collectively buying something on Friday that's really sticking it out on the lower ends. We have three companies that we're involved with. That way, when something starts to move, we can immediately start moving with it. But I think Facebook was looking, call it 535, but we're in that range. We're in a really nice buying area right now for Facebook, so that's good. And then this will keep traveling upwards, so everything we buy here would be good for us if we drew a line outwards here at what would be considered fair value, all the way out to here, and that is like this is December 11th. December 11th, we would expect fair value to be something like 575. So that's a $20 move going up on it, which percentage wise out of 500 doesn't actually add up to a lot. But we can look at METU, where we can dig into the METU pricing now that Facebook is becoming interesting, and we could start buying Facebook on Fridays. We can look at the METU prices and figure out what real prices we're looking at. So yeah, this looks good. This Facebook looks good, so we can add that into something to buy on Fridays. Microsoft, AMD, and Facebook are something interesting now. It's getting into an oversold state, and there's really nothing's going to be shown on the RSI yet until it really starts to build out over the next month and show us something new. But just on the larger time frames, Facebook is in a place that we would be happy to buy it at now, just for value purposes. Oh, so we can look at METU. Typing is hard. And we'll draw this out. Just extend it out this way, and let's say by the end of the year it's going to be $36. It's $30, 30.60 right now, so that's every $3 is 10%. We'd be looking at a 20% gain by the end of the year, roughly. And I mean, that's good. That's something I would like. So yeah, METU. METU, let's call it. Oh, where do I want this to be? Yeah, that looks good right there. So everything under here, where this is fair value. This is like this is obviously less than fair value, so it would be a good buy here. But everything under here, 32.75, a nice round even number. Any pricing that exists under 32.75 is good, and then we can comfortably buy on Fridays regardless of where the price is if it's under 32.75, with the expectation that we would at least return up to 34.50. And so let's see here, that we want at least 35 for a 10% gain in that month. And what did I say at the end of the year? Yeah, 36. So that's at minimum 10%. if we bought at the worst case pricing of 32.50, which obviously it's significantly below that, but for dollar cost averaging, we just buy it wherever it is on Fridays. And the dollar cost average below this price, 10%, 20% swing upwards, and pay us when we get, once we break up here and we get into the red, or similar to AMD, it starts showing us like a when proposition where it'll tell us when it wants to be sold and what the look would be, just the same as this is telling us where we want to buy it. We're down here, we're in this region across, this is where we want to be buying. So when it starts to show us the when existing out this way, in expanded out through time, then we could look at selling it. But realistically, it's going to be something like anything under 32.75 and selling at 36.37, somewhere out in here. If we extended this all the way out roughly to the end of the year, it could potentially be something like $40 on a run, and that's roughly a 30% gain, which is also good. So I feel good about Facebook. So right now it's looking like AMD, Facebook, and Microsoft. If we look at Nvidia, Nvidia I think wants to get down some more still. If we zoom in here on the blue and the green, it's telling us it wants to come down, and so there's more down, in my opinion, coming for Nvidia as far as the when is concerned. That will want to come all the way down to 126.79, so call it 127. And if this comes up and this comes over, it's sometime next week, 11:20 ish as a guess, and it's coming down to pay this off and to clean up all of that price action. So maybe sometime next week, Nvidia would be a consideration for something under, I don't know, 132. I don't know for sure yet. When this comes together, that might be something, but for now it's nothing. And Tesla is, again, simply still just too high, so nothing interesting to talk about for Tesla. Let's see, nothing interesting for Apple. AMD is interesting. Amazon was too high. Facebook is starting to look really good right now, and Microsoft is starting to look really good. Well, not starting. I want to take that back. AMD, Facebook, and Microsoft all look good. I like what I'm seeing here. I like potentially carrying this all the way out into earnings. These are all good prices. Now we have three opportunities. We have AMD, Facebook, and Microsoft. So that'll be it. That's my look at the stocks and my opinions on them going forward. That we have the continuation of the 90 days going all the way out from previous earnings to next earnings. All of this looks good to me, and Facebook has now entered an area where we can start buying it and feel good about it. So that's it. It's going to be my analysis on the stocks at the moment.